Who is Supersonic from Sonic the Comics? What's going on, everyone? Park Life Nerds back with another Who Are They video. Now, my first ever comic book series I read as a wee kid was Sonic the Comic. Now, what was Sonic the Comic? Now, this was, for people who don't know, a small comic series that ran from 1993 to 2002 in the UK. It was produced by Sega as a complimentary comic book series to their video game franchise. There were 223 issues, 184 of those were the original issues, with 39 reissues that came out. I didn't realise this at the time. I just thought I was buying the same comic over and over again. But yeah, this was my first delve into comics. I was really young, and if I'm honest, I had no idea what was going on, but I just liked Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, one character that stood out to me was Supersonic. Now, don't compare that to a Super Saiyan, otherwise you'll piss off a few fanboys. But yeah, it was really cool. I'd seen that before I actually saw a Super Saiyan. Yellow Hedgehog, angry, basically the best thing ever. So we'll be focusing on the version that does come from the comics, just so that if you've heard a few different backstories, that will be the one that we're focusing on. Okay, so let's begin. So, who is Supersonic? Well, Supersonic is basically a psychotic demon-like entity who lives inside Sonic the Hedgehog, and he gets released either by extreme stress or exposure to the Chaos Emeralds. Supersonic is a hyper-aggressive character and is usually only seen when things get desperate. So, as the comic books are set after the video games, his first official appearance is in the video games when he gets blasted by energy and transforms into Supersonic. His first appearance in the comics comes when he's cleaning up in Oil Ocean Zone. He's helping clean up when Aquis Bandit tries to basically burn Sonic alive in some oil. The stress of this situation triggers a transformation. This is apparently the first time that Sonic transforms without being blasted by a big dose of chaos energy. It turns out that due to the prolonged exposure to all this energy over time has meant that basically inside of Sonic there is now this energy there that he can basically release whenever he is under extreme stress. Sonic is aware of how violent Supersonic is, so he does his best to hold it in. You rarely see him come out in the comics, and basically it becomes one of Sonic's main priorities is to not push himself too hard, just to make sure that Supersonic stays locked away. Now that we've established that Supersonic was a part of Sonic, they split it in two. So after a few incidences of Sonic transforming into Supersonic, saving the day, almost killing his friends, you name it, and then cooling down afterwards, someone usually talks him down, they decide to split him in two, basically. The writers decided to make it two separate characters. So how did this happen? Well, whilst on the floating island, Sonic accidentally fell into the Emerald Chamber Pit and was blasted with even more energy than normal. The Master Emerald was there, so out of the pit emerged Supersonic, as he does, but this time he's even more evil, even more stronger, even more supersonic. They engage in a huge battle, leveling most of the building, and then Sonic went back to normal after he had basically burned up a lot of energy. Now, Sonic had believed he had killed all his friends due to this transformation, and he actually ran away and went into hiding. But because it's a comic, luckily none of his friends were actually killed. They set up this new plan to basically find Sonic and help him separate himself from the supersonic entity using emerald radiation. They managed to do it, and suddenly we had two beings. There was Sonic and Supersonic. Now, Supersonic runs off and gets involved in his own crowd. He starts getting involved in a mob, as you do when you have superpowers, and they battle again against Sonic and his whole crew. Now, this battle, again, Supersonic is just too strong. It ends up being the Omniviewer, which is a sentient computer-like machine, tricks Supersonic into flying into his system. Somehow he can do that. And he uses his ability to basically slow down time to as slow as possible, almost freezing it, but Realizing that it wasn't frozen completely, Sonic was moving very, very slightly. It was only a matter of time before he managed to escape. And of course, being a super fast hedgehog, he was going to escape a lot quicker than the regular person. And of course, when he did escape, he charged himself up into basically a super bomb, as it would be, an electromagnetic bomb, and he detonated. He basically wiped out all electricity on the planet, basically disabling all Robotnik's badniks and robots, basically making him defeated, which was a good thing. And the blast itself, he used up so much energy that Supersonic forgot who he was. It was almost like he got amnesia from it, like a big knock to the head. He was basically just a regular hedgehog. Well, he looked like Supersonic, but he didn't know he had powers. He was just walking around the streets aimlessly. Now that he was in this role, he befriends two people. One of them who is a psychic named Ebony, and her friend who's a cat called Pajamas. Who doesn't have a cat called Pajamas? Their job basically in the comics is to help Supersonic understand who he is, make his own personality, and regain his memories about the side effects of turning into Supersonic. There's a lot of issues where he turns into Supersonic due to stressful situations, and it's up to them to calm him down without the main crew being there, basically. We didn't get too much developed into this story because unfortunately the comic book series was coming to an end. The big final arc of the story saw this chaos creature emerged and was looking to absorb all the energy from the Chaos Emeralds. Originally looked like a big gooey guy, and then it turned into a giant gooey squid. Yeah, all these sort of stories. Sonic got green eyes for a second because he fell into the chaos energy. It was quite cool at the time. Basically, they're in this big ass battle against this chaos monster, or perfect chaos, and all looks lost until three hooded people arrive. Of course, one of them being Supersonic, the other two being Ebony and Pajamas. When they remove the robes, you can see that Supersonic is decaying and looks old. Due to him being a creature of pure chaos energy, he actually needs it to survive, so he is absolutely drained. He basically thinks the only way to stop the chaos creature is that he absorbs it, and he believes because of all the help he's had from his new friends, he can control his personality as Supersonic. Sonic doesn't agree with this at first, saying, "Doubt it, mate, you're going to probably destroy us after that." Supersonic says, "Nah, I'll promise I'll be a good boy." But basically they realise that the only way to beat the chaos creature is to do this, and I guess if they're battling one evil, might as well battle another one after that one. So Supersonic dives into the creature, basically absorbs all the energy, and the emeralds drop down. Now, everything looks like it's gone well. Supersonic is like, "Hey, look, I've got all my powers and I'm good. Yeah, look, don't worry about me, guys. Sweet." And then, he flicks the switch and the evil version of him starts to come through. There's another big battle, so Sonic and the gang take on Supersonic. Luckily, Ebony had fought this through. She had one system in her mind to back it up, which was needed to get Sonic and Supersonic close enough together that she could rebond them back together, basically making Supersonic a version of Sonic that would only come out when he's stressed. So what does she do? She casts a spell, and it looks like it's gone wrong. Sonic gets absorbed into Supersonic, so we're only left with one of them. Now, that doesn't look good. There's suddenly Supersonic and no one really strong enough to stand up to him. Maybe Knuckles, but Knuckles, nah. So Supersonic starts doing one of his big victory rants. "Oh, I'm evil, look at me, I've got yellow hair." But he suddenly starts to calm down, and the Sonic persona takes back over. Sonic is now in full control, and it's back to the status quo. So yeah, now Sonic had Supersonic back inside him, and that basically is how the story winds up for the Sonic the Comics. Chaos is defeated, Supersonic's gone, Robotnik's kind of back to being who he was beforehand. I'm sure there was going to be some more story arcs after that, but it was the end. So, powers and abilities. Well, everything Sonic had, but better. He was faster and stronger. He could shoot energy beams from his eyes, because who doesn't want to do that? And he could supercharge his body to do a giant explosion like that electromagnetic pulse. Pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was more like a Jekyll and Hyde persona rather than like a Super Saiyan, but it was just a nice wee thing to add to the character. And there we have it. That is Supersonic from Sonic the Comics. Let me know if you used to read the comics. What was your favourite story arc? I might cover a few more of these because I'm slowly getting myself back into reading them, and I just never realised how interesting some of the stories actually were. So yeah, if you like this, give us a subscribe, and yeah, reach out. Cheers.